All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to today's explainer. Look, we're taking on a massive, almost overwhelming topic today, but our goal is actually pretty simple. We're going to demystify this incredibly saturated AI landscape to figure out what actually works. If you've been trying to stay ahead of the curve lately, you know the noise out there is just deafening, so we're going to cut right through that. We'll look at the real data, the actual benchmarking, and community testing to finally separate the myth from the reality of modern AI tools.
I can almost guarantee you've seen some variation of this specific quote recently. I tested every AI tool so you don't have to, right? It's literally everywhere right now. Research papers, developer blogs, all over your social feeds. And let's be honest, it's gotten a little exhausting. It's practically its own genre of clickbait at this point. But, it does raise a really fascinating question. What happens when researchers actually do systematic testing on these leading AI tools across all these different categories? What does the hard evidence actually tell us? Well, before we answer that, let me ask you directly. Are you suffering from AI fatigue? Because honestly, if you are, you're completely justified. For anyone trying to stay focused and get work done today, the overwhelm is very real. You're probably juggling, a dozen open tabs, waking up to massive new announcements literally every other day, and constantly second-guessing which subscriptions you should cancel and which ones you absolutely need. It is a whole lot to manage. And here's exactly why you're feeling that way. Right now, there are well over 100 generative AI tools out there, spanning across multiple domains. Over 100. That is a staggering number. So the core problem we're facing in the AI space isn't really a lack of capability anymore. It's a massive problem of overchoice. When you have this many options and they're all promising to completely revolutionize your workflow, picking the right platform isn't just a trivial task. It can kind of feel like a full-time job. But here's the grand illusion of this whole AI boom. When the community actually tests these things, they consistently find that most tools out there are either completely overhyped or they're simply what we call wrappers. That basically means they're just fancy, dressed-up interfaces built on top of the exact same core foundational models. The real innovation is heavily concentrated in just a few massive models, which completely busts the myth that there are hundreds of truly unique, groundbreaking tools out there. So, let's talk about the core AI toolkit. When we base things on real-world benchmarking, we can cut right through all that noise and build a highly actionable silicon stack. Because, spoiler alert, no single tool wins at everything. Instead, what we see is a very small, specific cluster of platforms that consistently deliver superior results depending on the niche. You've got ChatGPT and Claude dominating the writing space, Midjourney for images, Cursor and Copilot for coding, Perplexity taking the lead for research, and 11 Labs for audio. This convergence proves that a practical, curated AI stack is exactly what you need. Let's look a little closer at these categories. Starting with text and conversational AI, which, let's face it, really remains the backbone of this whole ecosystem. This is where we see the nuances. ChatGPT consistently ranks as the most versatile, general-purpose AI. But if you need long-form, structured writing and deep reasoning, Claude is often going to take the lead. Need search-based answers that actually give you real citations? Perplexity is your standout there. And Gemini, well, that integrates seamlessly if you're already living in the Google ecosystem. Recent benchmark tests are showing that the performance gap between these top models is rapidly narrowing. So success now depends entirely on your specific task, rather than just assuming one model is universally the best. Now, moving into the visual realm, image generation is fiercely competitive right now, and this is where you really have to weigh your trade-offs. Midjourney is widely considered the absolute best for sheer artistic quality and aesthetics. But on the flip side, if you need raw realism and contextual accuracy, ChatGPT's built-in DALL-E models really excel. Stable Diffusion absolutely dominates if you want complete open-source flexibility and customization. And if your design needs precise text rendering, like actual readable words, Ideogram performs incredibly well. Basically, you have to choose what matters most for your specific output: style, realism, or pure control. And it goes way beyond just text and images. Specialized tools are taking over the entire content pipeline. In the coding world, GitHub Copilot is still a powerhouse for autocomplete. But Cursor? Cursor is providing this mind-blowing, deep, code-based level understanding that is just next level. Over in media, Runway is enabling some amazing AI-assisted video workflows, while 11 Labs is the undisputed leader in realistic voice synthesis. And definitely don't sleep on automation. Tools like Zapier and Notion AI are offering these vital, incremental productivity gains right inside the workspaces you already use. So the absolutely crucial point here is this contrast. relying on a single tool versus building multi-tool workflows. The evidence is overwhelmingly clear on this. Combining a personalized stack of niche tools will drastically outperform trying to rely on a single, all-in-one solution. Think about it. You wouldn't expect a Swiss Army knife to perform as well as a specialized surgical scalpel, right? Building your specific, carefully curated workflow is the real secret to unlocking genuine efficiency. But of course, there is a catch. Let's look at the limitations of AI. We definitely need to ground the excitement a bit here because it is not all magic. The biggest catch that plagues even the absolute best tools on the market is hallucination. If you don't know, this is when an AI model generates a confident, highly articulate, but completely incorrect output. It sounds right, it looks right, but it is totally fabricated. And this happens because at a fundamental level, AI lacks genuine understanding. It doesn't actually know the facts, it's just predicting the next most likely word. Because of that, strict human verification isn't just a recommendation, it is absolutely essential. And unfortunately, the limitations don't stop there. Beyond the hallucinations, AI still severely struggles when you throw completely novel problems at it, or if you give it highly ambiguous instructions. Plus, there is the incredibly frustrating reality of ecosystem fragmentation. As a user, you still have to juggle multiple confusing interfaces and deal with inconsistent workflows just to get a single project pushed across the finish line. Which brings us to the next big question: cost versus true value. Let me ask you right now, how many AI subscriptions are you actively paying for this month? Seriously, count them up, because look at how quickly this adds up. Most of these tools operate on a subscription model that averages anywhere between $10 to $30 a month. So if you build out a full silicon stack, specialized tool for writing, another for images, another for coding, and maybe toss in an audio generator, you can easily blow past $100 a month. Suddenly, your slick new productivity stack is a pretty significant monthly expense, which makes your strategic selection absolutely crucial. The most practical insight we can pull from the testing data is this: cost efficiency depends entirely on selecting the right combination, not just hunting around for the cheapest tool. Look, for casual users, the free tiers of these platforms are often totally sufficient, but for professionals, you have got to curate your paid multi-tool workflows wisely. You should only be investing in the niche tools that have a direct, measurable impact on your final output and your ROI. So let's talk about the future of AI work. Where is all of this actually heading? Well, based on current trends, we're slowly moving away from those fragmented wrappers and heading toward heavy tool consolidation. Platforms are going to evolve into all-in-one ecosystems, really aiming to reduce that interface fatigue we were just talking about. We're also shifting rapidly toward agent-based AI, and that's a game changer because it means tools won't just passively answer your prompts anymore, they're actually going to autonomously execute tasks and run entire workflows for you. And finally, we'll see multi-model dominance. Future tools are going to seamlessly combine text, image, audio, and video in real time, all within a single environment. But even with all these massive changes on the horizon, I want to leave you with this absolutely crucial final insight from the research. AI tools function as amplifiers of human capability. Powerful, but dependent on how intelligently they are used. The absolute biggest misconception out there right now is that AI is here to just completely replace human work. In reality, oversight, curation, and your human intelligence remain the most vital components of the entire stack. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought for you to consider today. Are your AI tools replacing your work, or are they amplifying it? I challenge you to take a hard look at your own personal AI stack this week. Cut out the redundant wrappers, invest in the specialized tools that actually boost your capabilities, and make absolutely sure you remain the intelligent director behind the screen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.